everyone, Amy here today. I'm going to tell you about what's going on in the 5th book in the Yakuza Past series. There's lots of updates and all kinds of stuff. So yes, so the 5th book is called The Deafening Silence. It's going to come out sometime. I think a lot of stuff happened since I talked to you guys last. So I think before I was announcing this is the last book in the Yakuza Past series, and I always knew I was going to do like a season 2, so I would have season 1 through 5, and like a season 2 eventually, and that changed because I'm making season 2 season 1 and just not doing like a series 1 and a series 2. I'm just going to keep it up and go forth. That was inspired by, I was talking to Jay Thurn and Rachel, and they were amazing, and basically they asked me like, Amy, if you could write one thing for the rest of your life, what would you write? And then the first thing was like my mom stuff. So that answered that question about what I should be doing, because I had this idea for this super cool, yokai inspired story, which I still love this idea. And I'm like, I plotted it all out at my romance retreat that I went to, but I remember the feeling of dread when I sat there and I realized it was going to be, instead of a 5-book series, it was going to be a 6-book series, because I already wrote like the big plot points, and I was just like, no, I mean, it's been so long on this book. I immediately started missing my mob guys. So yeah, so it's not going to be a series 1 and a series 2, it's just all going to be Yakuza Past. Yakuza Past going to go on for a long time, because remember Miko is in jail, and she's the real godfather of the Tasukada. So yeah, that's kind of like, she has to come out eventually, and that's kind of like my deadline. Like, oh look, because I actually go through and I print out a calendar for the year, and I write stuff about what happens on what calendar day. So eventually she gets released, and then that's gonna be a whole thing with Nell, and like, oh look, the real person's gone, so I can step down. But do I want to step down? I don't know. What's going on? What do I want to do? He has this like existential crisis. So that's not for a long time, because she's in jail for like 6 years, and it has, at the end of this series, it will not even be a full year since the beginning of the book, because a lot of stuff happens to my mob people. So yes, anyways, that's like an aside. Decisions of Amy. But specifically what happened over the past few weeks is I redid my outline. Since I plotted the yokai story, he is a side character in this series, and kind of helps now like discover himself and realize that he is also someone who needs to sit there and think about himself and not just about the family or the city, and that helps him out. And then so with that newfound knowledge of wherever my side character was at that point in his life of a book that maybe one day will be eventually written, so I was able to like outline the rest of the book, and it turned into this very massive outline. And I knew that the best thing to do about that was to give it to someone to read over my outline and tell me what they thought, because I think that's probably the best thing, because I do love beta readers and alpha readers, all those nice people, but I'd rather spend the least amount of time rewriting things as possible. So if I have someone who's able to look over the outline and be like, no, that sucks, or something like that, then I would know like, oh, I need to change that. So Nell Iris, who is an amazing romance author, she writes these like super melty heart romance books. I'll leave the link to her website down below so you can check her out. She's always amazing. We have beta reading for each other. So she read the outline. It was very good. She's always my romance check, because even though I do write MM thrillers and I never categorize them as romance, there is a very good romance-driven subplot in there, and I have to take into note that any time like you write LGBT fiction, a lot of people think there will be a romance, so I kind of have to also think about catering to that audience while I write. And I do like romance. I do like them to, I do like the guys in the books to get it on and all that stuff. So they don't really do that in my book yet. They will one day, I promise. But so she was reading it, and she gave me some really good ideas, and then she got to a point where she's like, I would stop reading here, Amy. I would DNF this book because you're making it seem like he's going to give a Taijin. And I'm like, oh. And she gave me this nice long paragraph about how that was bad, and I'm like, okay, I can't do that. Because I thought it'd be ironic if like Aki was like, oh look, I'm with my enemy, but he's like giving me all the support that I wanted now to do. And she's like, no, she shut this down a lot. She's like, romance people don't want this. I'm like, okay, that's like not a big deal, because that was only like 300 words. I could go back and be like, let's fix this and make it so they don't look like they're gonna get together. So super easy fix. So I fixed that and eliminated some redundant chapters. I was worried that people would grumble because there is a traitor within the ranks that tried to poison Nell, and then I was worried that people would wonder why this character didn't keep on trying to set up the attacks. So I'm like, oh, attack here, that fails, and plan here, that fails. And she's like, that's so much back and forth. And the outline was massive. And yes, so she was worried that it would be so big. So I kind of trim some down and I make it more efficient. And I'm much happier where it is at now, and I'm still hot back on the Yakuza train to write some more. I am currently, so the outline's updated, and I'm currently working on the next chapter where Aki had to do something horrible, and he comes back, and then he realizes like, oh, I did this horrible thing to my mob family, which is obviously bad, but he has to keep his cover. Because he's with the Koreans now as a spy to try to figure out who the real traitor is. But they come home with like the head of a friend that he knew, and like he would chat to this person, and him and now would have conversations, and he would do this, and it's like his severed head, and they're playing kickball or whatever with it. So that's horrifying and awesome, because I like to write really bloody stuff. Like this mob stuff is gritty mafia thriller stuff. But that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Do you get people to look over our outline, or would you think Aki should not get with Taijin? Because I don't think they should get together, but there's some stuff that has to happen, But that was it, guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, all that sweet jazz. Okay, until next time, bye bye.